With the regular season behind us, I figured it would be a good time for me to take a look back on the season and craft a power ranking of teams as we head into the final stretch. This has been a wild season with tons of ups and downs for every team, but with that, let's get started. Number 20 is the Los Angeles Valiant. Probably the worst team in Overwatch League history, even more so than the Shanghai Dragons. This team is embarrassingly bad. They won 2 maps this entire season, and never once did they even look or try to be competitive. I feel bad for the players, as Yu and Molan and even Crystal are solid players that deserve better, but the organization just has zero motivation to be anything more than a free win for others. Number 19 is the Vancouver Titans. They got a solid win against Boston, and we're quite competitive against a London that looked surprisingly good recently, but ultimately, that's all they have to their name. They showed a bit of potential, but just cannot stand up to any other team in there except for our number 18 spot, the Boston Uprising. What an embarrassment. They beat Paris, who were on a hot streak, yes, but they got beaten by an admittedly pretty strong Shock before being stomped by the Titans, who were on a 15-match loss streak, and beaten by Florida, who were on an 8-match loss streak. Boston is pretty much Houston, but worse and with more niche compositions. If their comp stops working for even a bit, they fall apart and make awful adaptability choices. Boston genuinely look horrible right now, and I honestly can't see them making it very far in planes. Number 17 is the London Spitfire. They did make some great strides, and I have hope for them going forward. Their DPS line is solid, and Molfwamji has his moments of brilliance. But ultimately they just aren't as good as the rest of the league for the most part, but their recent performances gives me hope for the next season. Number 16 is the Washington Justice. The Justice looks abysmal right now. In a meta that they have already been proven to be solid at against top teams, they were swept 3 times in a row. They are far too passive for their own good, they seem unconfident and overall extremely messy unless Decay is making huge plays. Number 15 is the Hangzhou Spark. Similar position to the Justice, cemented by their winless Countdown Cup. They are a mess right now. Their coaching staff is constantly changing and they seem less confident in themselves. I stand by my assertion that this roster is extremely talented but just hasn't found its footing outside of the June joust. The players on the field other than Hangzhou are invisible, and the benched supports are honestly more talented than the starting supports somehow. They just need to reset their coaching staff and rebuild around Hangzhou. What a travesty. Number 14 is the Guangzhou Charge. Guangzhou actually had a decent showing in the Countdown Cup with their best record to date. They beat Hangzhou and managed to take a map off of the Dragons, nearly sneaking into knockouts over New York. Not that they would have beaten Chengdu, but still. Guangzhou is a team that has brilliant spots despite their nearly complete rebuild. Eileen is cracked and Shows really stepped up. CR0MG has also shown his value. A few new off-season pickups and they can be a scary team again. Number 13 I'm going to give to New York. While they absolutely look good as of late, it is too little too late unfortunately. The DPS lineup is cracked, Jonak still pops off but the rest of the team leaves a bit to be desired. However, they are a very fresh team with a ton of rookies, so I believe that even if they keep the same core they can still be solid next time. Number 12 is the Florida Mayhem. They managed to turn it around a bit at the end of the season by being competitive with a tough schedule, but they seem boomed. They couldn't close it out against Atlanta and couldn't beat Houston despite that being a very winnable game. I still think they look upgraded. Yaki is still cracked and Oki managed to break out of his funk a bit, but I think they just get boomed too easily and the meta nearly never favored them. Here's to next year. Number 11. Paris Eternal. Paris is probably the most improved team this year. From being a bottom feeder to a legitimately great team, they have made leaps and bounds of improvements. However, I still have questions. They can struggle to close games out. They were unable to close out either game against Toronto, and they can struggle when punching up. One has to note their strength of schedule when discussing them, as half of their wins were against London and Vancouver. I don't think they are at that top level yet, and they have been stagnating a bit as of late. But fans can look back at their season with pride. Number 10, bit of a hot take, but Houston Outlaws. They really have no adaptability and get boomed easily. 2 tournaments now they've had a promising start, but then get stomped out of play-ins. I think they can lose confidence against top opponents who they would have to upset, which is why they look so against top-level teams or even teams that shake them a bit. I doubt their ability to clutch, which is why I can see them losing their play-in seed to our number 9 slotty Toronto Defiant. Toronto has leveled up a ton, though it is important to note the meta has kept them in play. The current meta lets Michelle, Aspire and Hisu play their best heroes, and they honestly look scary. They beat Paris twice and stomped Washington, and even pushed Atlanta to 5 maps. Their improvement in such a short time makes them scary, and barring a sudden meta shift which isn't off the table, they could see themselves standing in the final 8. Number 8. Philadelphia Fusion. Philadelphia is weird. They started strong, got really bad, but are peaking at a great time. Should be prime playoff material, right? Well, I can't trust them just yet. Despite their high highs, they have been unable to make a meaningful win and have been beaten out at playoffs twice now this season. Not only that, they still seem to be struggling in this Sobra-heavy meta. They still seem scary and have one of the most stacked rosters in the game, but I just can't trust them to make it past number 7. The Seoul Dynasty. Their lack of clutch and weird coaching decisions holds them back a bit, but make no mistake, they are a top team. While their supports and especially their tank line leaves a bit to be desired, their DPS line is a top 5, arguably top 3 in the league. It was tragic watching them get stomped out of Hawaii, but with prep time they should be able to right their wrongs and come back stronger. Number 6 is the Dallas Fuel. I'm on the doomed train with them. While they are still an amazing team, I expect their sandbagging to backfire in a New York-style fashion. Especially so considering they were already on the downwards trend heading into the Countdown Cup. I still expect great things from them, but I don't see them challenging Shanghai for the title. At least not anymore. 5 is the San Francisco Shock. 1 round away from taking Hawaii from the eventual champs, the Shock are peaking at the right time. While I have my worries about reintegrating FGod into the starting roster, the team as a whole is starved for tournament wins, and is showing glimpses of their old selves. While I doubt they will keep up that well with the tippity top, I can easily see themselves putting themselves in a position in top 4. Number 4. Atlanta Reign. Their summer showdown was quite tragic, and the playoffs seem primed to be a repeat of that. Since playoffs are not in Hawaii, Pelican ironically will not be able to travel there, it seems like, and they will be playing with primarily Edson during playoffs. However, I don't want this to take away from their achievements throughout the season. They made it to Hawaii 3 times, were consistently at the top of the outside of the Mayhem, and showed themselves to be surprisingly meta-proof. They are the second most successful team in the behind Dallas. It's a shame that they have to end the season like this, but it's important to look at their successes. 3. Chengdu Hunters. Chengdu are the wild cards of the playoffs. Will their momentum and the meta carry them to a grand finals appearance and possible victory? Or will they be screwed by a meta shift and drop out early? No one knows. What we do know is that Chengdu is insane. They have the frankly probable MVP for the year leave, the best Pharah in the league in Jinmu, a top 5 tanking 9A and a top 5 supporting Monk. They have been playing phenomenally recently, going the distance twice against the peaking Gladiators, and honestly would have won if they didn't make those weird substitutions on Route 66 in the final. They have mastered the ball Pharah comp to near perfection and are probably the top dark horse candidates to win in all, though our number 2 seed, the Los Angeles Gladiators, edges them out just a bit. The Glads looked near flawless in the Countdown Cup and absolutely earned their spot at the top. Their roster is easily one of the most stacked in the league. Space Shoe and Gifster have become absolutely god tier. Muzz has shown why he is in the convo for Rookie of the Year. Billing is incredible on the Hangzhou Spark is easily the world's best brig. They don't really have any exploitable weaknesses, especially now that they are clutch again. I think they are one of the two favorites this time around to make a grand finals appearance, alongside number 1, the Shanghai Dragons. I know, they shit the bed in the qualifiers, but honestly, considering they were sandbagging and still beat Seoul is impressive to me. Not only that, but they were far and away the best team in a pack for 3 tournaments, and the best in the world for 2. The amount of talent in their roster is insane, and unless they get screwed by a meta shift, or continue sandbagging through playoffs, they should be able to snag the win from anyone in their paths. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe for more. I upload daily Overwatch League content and am trying to hit 10p subs by Season 5, so any subscription helps greatly. Thanks.